Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Government House, Yarralumla. Dawa Nuna, Dawa Nunawel. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of land on which we meet, the Nunawel people, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, emerging leaders, and any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders that might be gathered here today. My name is Paul Singer and I'm the Official Secretary to the Governor-General. As this badge signifies with its cross quills, I'm also the Secretary of the Order of Australia, whose Council recommends appointments and awards in the Order's General Division to the Governor-General, who is the Chancellor and Principal Companion of the Order. I'm also the Secretary to the Australian Bravery Decorations Council, the body which makes recommendations to the Governor-General for Bravery Awards. Before we start today's ceremony, I'd like to acknowledge that despite the challenges posed by the current pandemic, we are delighted to be able to host this ceremony in a COVID-safe manner. We are grateful for your understanding of and compliance with the measures that we've put in place to ensure everyone's safety. Today is a special day, not only for the recipients, but also for their friends, families, and their communities. It is a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievements and service. The Australian Honours System provides a wonderful mechanism which, through we as a nation, are able to recognise and celebrate ordinary Australians who do extraordinary things. Since its inception in 1975, over 420,000 people have been recognised for their meritorious bravery, military or national service. The Order of Australia is the principal means of recognising outstanding service, and it is important to note that nominations come from all parts of the community. Anyone can nominate. As staff at Government House, my colleagues and I are privileged to play a small part in the recognition and celebration of that achievement. I hope we can help make today an occasion that you'll all recall with pride for some time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand as Their Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley enter the room, and then please remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the Australian National Anthem. The investiture will then begin in the order of which is presented in your programs. After I read their names and citations, the recipients will enter the room from the doorway on my right, and after they've been invested, will leave via the central aisle to take up their seats at the back of the room. At that point, you might like to show your appreciation with a short applause as their recipients proceed back to their seat. At the conclusion of the ceremony, I'll invite recipients to join Their Excellencies for a formal photograph on the state entrance stairs. And after that photograph, guests and Their Excellencies will join with recipients in the dining room and out on the lakeside terrace for refreshments. So ladies and gentlemen, please relax and enjoy this very special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the arrival of Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley and for the singing of the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
A very warm welcome to you all from Linda and I and the team here at Government House at Yarralumla on a very special occasion in our annual calendar, and of course for the recipients at today's ceremony and for their families and friends who are here with them physically and watching online. These days are the highlight, they're the most premier day in our calendar as we recognise the contributions of Australians to their country. And speaking of country, I should acknowledge that Government House Yarralumla sits on the land of the Ngunnawal people, who have looked after this part of our country for generation after generation. And we thank them for that and pay respects to elders past and present. Today is a very special day, of course. And as you've come in, you'll notice there's a bit of pomp, there's a bit of protocol, ceremony, people dressed in shiny uniforms, as it should be, being such a special occasion. But it is also an Australian occasion, so please relax. I think Paul has already said that. You may smile, applaud at the appropriate times, and enjoy this occasion. Our honours and awards system I think, has a unique characteristic to it that distinguishes it from most in the world, if not all. And in that our system is, particularly the civilian members who are recognised today, are nominated by their community peers, by their professional peers. This is our system. The people who are acknowledged because we want them to be acknowledged. It's not in a system where an elite in Canberra or a state capital reaches down and said someone is doing good work and we're going to acknowledge it. It comes from the ground up. So as we're conducting the ceremony today, please be attentive as to the range of activities and contributions people are being acknowledged for, because I'm going to give you some homework after we've completed the formal part of the ceremony. So be attentive. The other important aspect about today's ceremony, I think, relates to the experiences we've had as people in our country, shared some with the rest of the world, at least over the last 12 months or so. When Linda and I began here in July last year, our country had been in, the eastern part of the country at least, had been in drought for many, many years. We've had flood, we've had our worst bushfires for almost a century, and we're now in a pandemic. During the last 3 or 4 months, because our travel has been limited, we have spent many, many hours using every virtual app known to man, linking with people across the country, leadership at all levels, community members, particularly in the bushfire-affected communities, keeping in contact with what's going on the ground out there and being supportive and acknowledging great work. And after every one of those calls, we come away enriched and uplifted by engaging with some fantastic Australians out there. And today's ceremony is really a microcosm of the strength of the people of Australia. I'm an optimist by nature. I know our country has got some difficult yards ahead of it, a difficult road ahead of it as we come through this pandemic and the economic effects. But we have what it takes to be successful over the next few years as we turn this around. And we'll see, as I say, a microcosm of that today. So we are very, very grateful for everyone who has contributed to where our country is today and who will take it forward in the future. So let's keep our mind on that as I now commence the formal ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of his appointment as a member in the General Division, Emeritus Professor John O'Callaghan, for significant service to information technology and to education. Professor O'Callaghan is a recognised leader and influencer in the field of information technology and communications in Australia. His exceptional research expertise has been in the areas of machine vision, image processing, spatial information systems, software technologies, and more recently, high-performance computing and communication. He established the largest research and development group in software technologies, which provides vital support for Australian industry in high-performance computing, computer communications, software engineering, and multimedia information services. Professor O'Callaghan's commitment to the advancement of knowledge for the far greater good of Australian society is remarkable. Emeritus Professor John O'Callaghan, appointed a member of the Order. To be presented with the insignia of his appointment as a member in the General Division, Dr. Matthew Trinker, Talalan, for significant service to museums and the gallery sector. Dr. Trinker Talalan has given long and meritorious service to our nation's cultural sector. Since 2014, as the Director of the National Museum of Australia, he has played a vital role in confirming the status of the museum as a leading national and international cultural institution. He has overseen the development of major exhibitions of Indigenous art, and under his guidance, the museum now leads the way in respectful and appropriate display of cultural objects and in genuine relationships with Australia's First Peoples. He's also understood the importance of a museum in nation building and in opening dialogues with Australia's international partners. Dr. Trinker Talalan is an outstanding museum director who is moving Australia's museology to the centre of the world stage. Dr. Matthew Trinker Talalan appointed a member of the Order. To be presented with the insignia of his appointment as a member in the Military Division, Air Commodore Philip Gordon, for exceptional service in aerospace capability development, air combat preparedness, and operations management and control for the Australian Defence Force. Air Commodore Gordon's superior leadership has transformed Australia's air combat preparedness by balancing current operational needs with future requirements. As Director of the Air Combat Transition Office, he was pivotal during the critical phases of the government's consideration and approval of the F-35 Lightning II fighter aircraft. At number 81 Wing as Officer Commanding, he oversaw the graduation of the highest number of fighter combat instructors and operational FA-18 pilots in a decade. As Director General Air, he has led the integration of cyber, space and electronic warfare capabilities into larger scale exercises. Air Commodore Gordon has delivered leading-edge air combat capabilities of great strategic significance to Australia's long-term defence posture. Air Commodore Philip Gordon appointed a member of the Order. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mr. Shiman Fratnich, for service to the curation community of the Australian Capital Territory. Mr. Fratnich is a person of tireless dedication who, together with his leadership skills, has made him a most distinguished contributor to the Croatian community. He's been one of the founding members, as well as one of the most influential and active board members of a range of major Croatian organisations in Canberra. In particular, he's made an invaluable contribution to the Adria Retirement Village and to both the Australian Croatian clubs in Deakin and O'Connor. He was also heavily involved in the construction of the Croatian Embassy and has given many years of voluntary service to St Augustine's Catholic Church. Mr. Fratnich is thoroughly deserving of our recognition and we honour him today. Mr. Shiman Fratnich, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Congratulations.
To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mr. Edward Ralston, for service to sport for people who are blind or have low vision. Mr. Ralston understands the importance of social health and he demonstrates this with his interaction with others in everyday life. In his role as founder and president of the Canberra chapter of the Achilles Running Club for the vision impaired, he works diligently to integrate sighted and non-sighted people, encouraging them to participate in running, walking and bushwalking events. Under his leadership, Achilles provides trained sighted guides to run or walk with participants, and his commitment and encouragement have resulted in more members of the blind community participating in running festivals. Mr. Ralston's efforts have transformed the lives of many, and his achievements are to be highly commended. Mr. Edward Ralston awarded the Medal of the Order. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Hill, for outstanding achievement as the Staff Officer Cybersecurity and the Commanding Officer Defence Security Operations Centre over the period 2013 to 2018. Lieutenant Colonel Hill was tasked with establishing the Defence Cybersecurity Operations Centre and went on to become the inaugural Commanding Officer of this unit in 2016. He developed the strategies, plans and deliverables that were necessary to stand up the Department of Defence's professional cybersecurity capability. He developed further critical enablers with the creation of Defence Cyber Threat Intelligence, Cyber Forensics and Malware Analysis Cells. Lieutenant Colonel Hill has enhanced the security of the Department's networks. Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Hill awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross. To be presented with the insignia of her award of the Conspicuous Service Medal, Commander Patricia Kemp, for meritorious achievement in the field of Navy Health Services. Commander Kemp has both managed and informed firsthand the diverse way in which HMAS Canberra's health facility is utilised. In 2019, HMAS Canberra deployed on various exercises, during which time Commander Kemp reviewed the practical use of the landing helicopter dock's health facilities. She collaborated with her counterpart in HMAS Adelaide to ensure cross-platform engagement, and the review provided a coordinated input of recommended facility improvements to the capability manager. Commander Kemp's practical and procedural review will greatly assist in future updates of Navy's primary casualty reception facility. Commander Patricia Kemp awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal.
Thank you.
To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Conspicuous Service Medal, Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Shaw, for meritorious achievement as the Principal Logistics Staff Officer at Headquarters Joint Task Force 633 in the Middle East from September 2018 to July 2019. Lieutenant Colonel Shaw established and directed a Joint Task Force 633 logistics review that created a more responsive and resilient Middle East region supply system. His initiatives have resulted in the disposal of over 6,000 items of unnecessary equipment and the return to Australia of over 38,260 other items of equipment, including 65 tonnes of explosive ordnance valued at $8.3 million. Lieutenant Colonel Shaw's leadership and planning will deliver long-lasting dividends for Australia's contribution to the Middle East region. Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Shaw awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal. To be presented with the insignia of her award of the Australian Police Medal, Detective Superintendent Danielle Woodward. For distinguished service to the Australian Federal Police, particularly in the areas of overseas policing operations and education. Detective Superintendent Woodward has served with distinction in a range of roles since commencing with the Australian Federal Police in 1986. During her career, she has made a significant contribution to overseas policing operations, including the response to the downing of MH17 over Ukraine and in East Timor, where she was the first female commander of the volatile northern border district of Bobonaro. She's currently providing advice and identifying improvement opportunities as a visiting fellow to the Royal New Zealand Police College. Detective Superintendent Woodward's service to the AFP and to the local and international community is of the highest order. Detective Superintendent Danielle Woodward, awarded the Australian Police Medal. We move now to the Australian Bravery Decorations. To be presented with the insignia of his award of the Group Bravery Citation, Mr. Stephen Armitage. At 9 p.m. on the 13th of January 2019, a tour bus carrying 18 passengers rolled down a steep embankment and crashed in Lamington National Park, Queensland. The driver had briefly exited the vehicle to assess the area when the handbrake failed, causing the bus to roll. Mr. Armitage was the front passenger in the bus. When the bus started to roll down the hill, he removed his seatbelt and attempted to apply the handbrake. By this stage, the bus driver had managed to return inside the vehicle. However, they were unable to prevent it rolling down the embankment. When the bus came to a stop on its side, the driver was trapped in the vehicle. Mr. Armitage stayed with the driver, who was in significant pain, while people from a second bus assisted in evacuating the other passengers from the damaged vehicle. Despite the precarious position of the bus and the danger of it rolling further down the embankment, Mr. Armitage and another person provided reassurance to the trapped and injured driver, staying with him until emergency services arrived and extricated him from the damaged vehicle. For his actions, Mr. Armitage is recognised with the award of the Group Bravery Citation. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentations this afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've acknowledged each of the recipients individually. I think it would be appropriate now to acknowledge them as a group. Please join me. So we have seen the breadth of activities, contributions, this particular group, and of course all those who will be acknowledged have been this week and will be next week. And put your mind back to your homework. As I've said, nominations from you, from community peers, end up with people being awarded in ceremonies like this across the country. I need you to go back to your community. You know who the people are, and nominate. If you look at our representation across the board at the moment in our honours and awards system, only 40% of recipients are women, which is not sufficient. We need to increase that number. And our multicultural representation is still not where it should be given the nature of our population, our demography. So I need you to help me remedy that, and those watching online as well. Paul will give you the hint about how to do it, but I'm telling you, I need you to do it. And I would like to be standing here in 2 years' time to see the fruit of your work as you've gone back, considered on merit, who you think should be recognised for contributing to our country. Simple task, and I know we're up to it. Linda and I now look forward to joining you all in the dining room and outside. Lovely afternoon this afternoon to get to know you all a bit better and enjoy the occasion with each of our very worthy recipients. So thank you, and it's been a real pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to assist with the homework that the Governor-General has issued, I do encourage you to look at the Governor-General's website, where there's plenty of advice on how to nominate someone that you think is worthy of consideration for recognition under the Order of Australia. That's available at www.gg.gov.au. Shortly, I'll invite the recipients to join their Excellencies for a formal photograph from the state entrance stairs and for guests to remain briefly in the drawing room until such time as their Excellencies and recipients have departed. Would you please now stand for the departure of Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley and the recipients. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I now invite you to proceed through to the dining room and out onto the lakeside terrace, where Their Excellencies and recipients will join you shortly. And I wish you a very pleasant afternoon. Thank you.